American politics and video games. Can this combination work? The Political Machine is a government simulation game developed by Startup and published by Ubisoft and released in 2004. Now, even though that there are the 2008 and the 2012 version, this one stands out in my mind the most. The reason this game stands out in my mind is because of the amount of characters and just some of the ridiculous characters that are in this game. Like, you can literally play as Arnold Schwarzenegger and run for president. Heck, you can even play as George Bush's wife if you want. In addition to the amount of characters that you can play as, there's also a character creator. While this one is a bit limited, it's still a lot of fun. But in all honesty, you probably won't use your created character, since there's other characters that you can unlock and the ones that you start off with that you'll be more comfortable using. Also, if you play through the campaign mode, you'll unlock new characters such as George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Ronald Reagan, Gerald Ford, and a bunch more others. You'll most likely play Quick Match, which here you'll set up the domestic status, your foreign status, the economy, and also the difficulty of the game. However, regardless of the sliders, everything will stay static for the most part as it reflects the data back in 2004. So you start the game off in your hometown and you have 41 weeks to complete your objective. Your goal of this game is to win the election any way, shape, or form. One thing that you can do is create ads, whether it be from newspaper, radio, or television. You can pick your issue and say whether you favor it or oppose it, such as you would favor a strong military or you oppose the outsourcing of jobs. You can also use it to your opponent by saying that your opponent does not support the war on terror, but they support higher taxes. As well as giving advertisements, you can also hold speeches. Depending on your character stats will determine how successful your speeches will be. If you're a charismatic leader such as Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of the other characters, your speeches are going to be your main target and your main strategy that you're going to use in order to gain more voters. You also have political capital that you can gain by spending stamina, and this will help you to gain endorsements from various companies, or it can also be used to hire operatives. Throughout the course of the game, you'll get opportunities to appear on certain media outlets such as 60 Seconds, a spoof off of 60 Minutes, so on and so forth. You'll be asked a series of questions and you'll also be given some answers. Depending on your intelligence and how smart your character is will be the answers that will appear. Answering poorly and you will lose support. Do well, however, and you'll get a lot of support. This is a really interesting mechanic in this game, as every host asks questions differently, and also there is no really clear right and wrong answers when it comes to these questions. During the halfway point, you can pick your running mate. Most of the time, it really doesn't make a difference, as whoever you pick gives you the same benefits, regardless of who it is. All of these actions that you perform when you create ads and do speeches cost stamina, so this makes it a turn-based game, depending on the characters how much stamina that you have for each turn. There are also random events that occurred, and they are marked by a question mark on the map. You can get a donation, get lawsuits, so these could be either both good or bad. This adds an element of unpredictableness, since you really don't know what's going to happen when you reach these things. So what happens when the game is over? Well, when the game is over, it goes through the whole map to see which states that you've won and lost. If you know anything about American politics, you'll know that the red is for the Republicans and the blue is for the Democrats. Depending on which state it is, certain parties reach to other states better, such as a Republican candidate can convince the voters of Texas to vote for him, while someone that's Democratic is better when it comes to the Northeast, such as New York and Connecticut. The size of the state matter too, because the more electoral votes you have, the more important the state is. At the end of the day, whether you won or lost, it gives you a recap, basically saying what strategies that the winner used and how he did better than the others, such as spending less money and using more political capital, etc., etc. The experience of getting to the end is always fun, and it is rewarding to see all that hard work that you put in pay off. Overall, this is a very fun game, but I do have a few issues with it. One of my main gripes is that you play in the same time period, so there's very little variation in strategy between each match. You'll eventually develop one dominant strategy and continue to use it over and over again, regardless of the scenario and who you're playing against. However, I'd still recommend this game as it is a good game, and that brings the final score to 7.5 out of 10. It won't hold you forever, but it is a lot of fun to play. Now, even though some of the newer games have offered new scenarios like being in the 1800s or in the 1900s, this is still a game that you should not pass up on. It's a lot of fun, and playing as Arnold Schwarzenegger can make my day. This is Pow3rh0use signing off.